Hello and welcome. My name's Jessica Rose. In this video, I'm going to show you how to make a 3-bead easy necklace. These are really lovely beginner projects. They're very simple and easy to do from home, and with a little bit of practice, you'll be making them in no time. And they're super effective and cute. And there's actually a lot you can do with this once you learn how to make these basic ones. So here is one with some rose quartz and some fuchsia beads, and I'm going to be making mine with these little purple amethyst beads. All you need for this project are 3 of your basic pliers. So we've got some chain nose pliers here, we've got some round nose pliers, and we have some cutters. I've got a little bit of wire. You can use 0.4mm wire or 0.6mm wire, works really well for this project. And there's also an optional head pin, and I'm using one with a ball end for this one as well. So you can see here at the bottom of this sample, I've used that ball-ended head pin to give a little kind of flat bit at the bottom. And in this one, I haven't used a head pin, I've just gone ahead and added a loop, and either works fine. So I'll show you how to use the head pin, but you can do either. So let's get started. So to start off with, I'm going to use my head pin and thread on one of my beads. And you can use beads of pretty much any size for this project, but these are, if I check on my beading mat, I think this one's 6mm, could be 5. Well, yeah, I think it's 6mm, just to give you a rough idea. And I'm going to take my round nose pliers, so they're the ones that are round all the way around, and I'm just going to pop it in. Now I can see that my head pin is much too long. All I want to do is make a loop and wrap it round, but I'm going to start with it and then I'll be able to cut it off at the end, so don't worry about that. So I'm going to go a little bit closer, and I'm just going to use my round nose pliers, hold the bead in my finger and thumb and gently twist it to one side, just a little bit to take it off center. Then I'm going to wrap it all the way around, and I'm about 1/2 centimeter up my round nose pliers because that's about the thickness that I want this loop to be, but you can choose how you'd like yours to be. And I'm just going to wrap it all the way around and bring it so that I've made a loop. Then when I'm happy with my loop, I might adjust my loop at this stage if it's wonky at all. This is an opportunity for me to adjust it, so I could just twist it over a little bit. Not always necessary, but sometimes. And now using my finger, I'm just going to wrap it round once or twice to secure that in place. And when I'm happy, I'll take my pliers out, take my cutters, and I'm just going to get as close as possible. And I want to make sure when I cut that little excess off, I either cover it with my thumb to make sure it doesn't go flying anywhere, or I'll push it down into the bead mat. So I'm going to cover it with my thumb on this instance, just close them shut and take that piece off. Then using my chain nose pliers, which are these, they're flat on the inside, pointed on the outside, I'm just going to very gently tuck that in. Sometimes it can be a bit fiddly to see. I just want to make sure there are no sharp bits sticking out the edge. And sometimes it spins around away from you, but the more you do them, the easier these bits become. Okay, so one more little bit. That is my bottom bead done. And now I'm going to get my wire. And this is silver plated wire that I'm using. You can work with silver wire, you can work with gold plated wire, you can work with copper wire, whatever you want to use. So now I want to make a loop to attach onto there. So I'm going to start with my round nose pliers, and I want to always place them in roughly the same space so that I'm making loops of roughly the same size. So I'm just going to twist it all the way around. I've left a little bit at the end, about 1 centimeter, maybe a little bit less, and I'm wrapping all the way around and across. And then before I go to actually commit to that and push it down, I want to thread on my original bead. So I'm just going to tuck that in there like that. Then back goes in my round nose pliers, and I'm going to wrap it around once. After I wrap it around once, I want to centralize it. So if you look at it now, it's kind of to the side a little bit, my loop. So I'm just going to twist it so that it is central. So these are just little details. You don't have to be as pernickety as this, but if you want to get really sort of clean loops, that's the way to do it. Then pop my pliers back in and just do another twist or so. Then I am ready to cut and squidge, is a technical term that I always joke about using in our beading classes. So you get used to doing this a lot. Cut off the excess wire and squidge it in. Tuck that little wire in. And just run your finger over it to make sure that it is nice and smooth. Then I'm ready to thread on my next bead. So as I said, this is a really simple project to master this basic technique of linking beads together, but you could use this to make bracelets, to make necklaces, to make earrings. Really, the sky is the limit once you know how to attach beads together with wire in this way. So I'm going to do exactly the same again. So I'm going to place my bead in just a little bit above the bead, just to give me enough space to wrap around. I'm going to twist a little bit to the side to centralize my loop, go around and under, and now is my chance to adjust it a little bit more. When I'm happy with the placement, I commit to it, wrap around. Try and do my wraps as neat as possible. Sometimes they go better than others, as is life. And cut and squidge. Okay, and now I'm ready to do my final one, to add my final bead. This is where I want to bring my chain in. So I just have a shop bought chain here. You can obviously hand make chain and do all sorts of things, but this is a really simple way. I've just bought a silver plated chain. So I'm going to grab one more piece of wire and do exactly the same again. And obviously the first time you do this, it may be a little bit fiddly, but I would just do a whole load of these. And if you're not sure, practice without any expensive materials. None of these materials are expensive anyway. Silver plated is very affordable, but even copper you can practice with. So I start again with somewhere between 0.5 centimetre and 1 centimetre out the end. Create my loop by wrapping it round. Before I commit to closing it, I'm just going to thread on that bead. Pop it back in. So you're always using the round nose pliers to shape it on. And of course I'm breaking it down, but once you work with these, you kind of speed it up and you do a lot of the stages without really even thinking about it. So it's one of those things, it starts very slow, but you can get very quick at making these types of things. Always cut off the ends and tuck them in. And I'll place on my final bead. And then this is the section where I'm going to add the chain at the top. So I'm going to make the loop very slightly bigger at the top to accommodate for my chain. So still going in nice and tight, I'm just allowing a bit of space for my wraps. But you can see I'm slightly further down, so these are tapered. So obviously if I was to go right down here, I'd make a nice big loop. I don't want it quite that big. I think I want it roughly about here to allow the chain to go backwards and forwards on it. So I'm just going to hold the bead, twist it a little bit to the side to centralize it, and all the way around and under. Then I'm going to really centralize that loop for myself by just adjusting there. And before I commit to it, I'm going to thread through the chain. So I'm putting the whole chain through. It may be a little bit tight, so I may need to bring it out to the side just a bit to fit it in. There we go, and I want it to get trapped in there, nicely encased. Then I'll put my round nose pliers back in, and now I'm just going to wrap all the way down to that bead so it is nice and snug. And because we're using quite thin wires here, 0.4, 0.6 mil, I can do it all with my fingers. If I was using thicker wires, I might need to use pliers to help me manipulate the wire. Finally, cut off that end, tuck it in, and there we have our 3-bead necklace. So straightforward, a great technique to get practicing with as well. If you're new to jewelry making, like I said, you could keep this going and make a whole necklace. You could make a whole bracelet. There's so much you can do with it. And of course, you can play around with using different colors and different shapes, like these ones I've done before, so slightly chunkier beads, or creating pieces that perhaps stack well together as well. So best of luck with making your 3-bead necklace. I hope you enjoy this project. For more jewelry making projects and to find out about starting and growing a jewelry business, come and find us online at jewellersacademy.com. And I'll see you on another project very soon.